we're gonna get upstairs garden cleaned up today. Upstairs garden looks really untidy. There's a pile of dirt in the middle of the floor, something spilled, it's kind of stained. It's not real cute. Looks about the same as it did when I got all my seedlings outside in the spring. And then I went and spent all my time outside, not inside. I cannot stop myself from growing things and trying new things over the winter. So last year I decided to build this little upstairs garden and I love it. And today's the day we get it cleaned out. I do have some pepper plants that I had brought in from the outside. They're doing just fine. I've been eating on the peppers, but they need a little love. I do have a little gnat issue, which happens to me when I bring stuff in from the outside. So we're going to take care of that. So we're going to clean everything up. I'm going to get all my stuff organized, and then we're going to give the plants some love. And I have gotten a request to talk about the grow lights that I use and how I use them up here. So here we go. We got the floor all cleaned up. I got all the shit that doesn't belong out here put away. We're gonna start working with plants, and I am going to bring up a table and my seed starting stuff. But before we do that, I want to talk about the fungus gnats because I got a lot of them, and I want to show you A, everybody can get them. Don't worry about it. Doesn't mean you're gross. And B, they're not really all that bad. They're just kind of annoying. So let me show you what I got. Let me zoom in. Here is my cutie habanero plant. She's got a lot of fruit on her. She's got more fruit on her inside than she did all summer outside. You get gnats for, I think, two main reasons. One, you're like me and you just bring outside plants inside without repotting them into clean indoor pots. I don't know if I'm just dirty or lazy or just don't have that kind of time. Either way, I just bring outside pots inside and I don't worry about it. And it's never been a problem. I don't get like critters running everywhere throughout my house. Generally, I just get one infestation of fungal gnats and I clean it up and we all go on about our day. Some folks hate the thought of bringing outside pots inside and they actually repot their summer plants into indoor pots. So you could do that as a way to prevent that. The other way you can get fungal gnats is uneven or overwatering. Which is absolutely something that I have done poorly since I brought these plants in. Peppers like to dry out a little bit anyway, and so I've only been watering them about once a week, but I gotta be honest, I have forgotten a time or two, and yeah, they're kind of hurting for water right now. So the first reason you can get gnats is just from bringing the outside pot in. So that's the first reason. Bringing outside pots in can bring the gnats in with it. The second reason just could be because of overwatering. So sometimes when we get really excited about our plants, we give them a little bit too much love and we overwater. And it's especially easy to do when you're bringing outside plants inside, because outside you've got wind and hot air that's constantly working to dehydrate your plants even more. When you bring them inside, your home environment might be dry, but maybe not quite as dry as you think. And so when we water the same inside as we did outside, sometimes that can lead to a buildup of moisture down in the soil, and a buildup of moisture brings a buildup of fungus, and if gnat larvae are there and they find they got something to eat, they're going to hatch, baby. So watch your watering. Don't be afraid to let your plants dry out a little bit. And if they really creep you out, just repot your plants when you bring them in. Okay, let me zoom in. Let me show you how you know when you got gnats. Okay, there it is. I mean, it's pretty clear. There's a couple of things that you might see when you have gnats. So first, these little white specks, that's your telltale. Those are the gnat larvae. The other way you can tell if you don't see all the larvae right away is, I think this is a better one. The leaves may have a shiny, sort of sticky substance. They might look a little glittery and wet. That is like larva slime from them crawling all over your leaves. So if your leaves on your plant are looking shiny and sticky, that's a good sign you have an infestation. And certainly when you see the little white specks, you got an infestation. So that's what it looks like. Now we're just going to take care of it. The two things that I do to get rid of the gnats, first, I take a jar and I put a little dish soap in it and I fill it in with some apple cider vinegar. Gnats love the sweet acidity and they're going to crawl into the jar and then they're going to get coated by the soap and they're not going to be able to get back out again. And they're going to die. So I'm going to put this out just on the windowsill. That way anybody that I don't catch and kill today will just hit the sauce. The other thing I do is I grab an old rag or a towel. I get it real wet. Not real wet. Don't get excited. I get it damp. And then I grab a bottle of hydrogen peroxide. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm first just going to wipe down any of the white larvae that I see on the outsides of the pots, underneath the pots, on the rim, on the edge of the pots. And I'm just going to wipe them off. If I was outside in my yard, I would take my spray hose on full blast and I would just blast those little buggies off. But I'm not outside, I'm inside, so I'm going to be a little more dainty and careful. So, wet rag, damp rag, what have you, little hydrogen peroxide. I'm going to do a little of this, right? Just get a little in, and I'm just going to wipe down my pots. And honestly, that's it. And they usually just clear up within a couple of days, and we're good to go. So, here we go. Doesn't want a double whammy of fun, I also have aphids on my peppers. Let me show you what I found. Aphids are kind of crazy to me because I rarely get aphids in my yard, in my garden, in my house ever. This is maybe the second time since I've started growing that I have found aphids. So if I've had them in the past, they have been well controlled. So I wiped down all the pots and I looked for all the larvae and we got all that taken care of. And I was examining the leaves just to see if any had like active activity that I wanted to try to rinse off. And as I flip, I find a good one. There they are. There's a couple. They're red and brown. Red and brown. Ah, there's a good one. Whoa, there's the money. Aphids. Gross. So we gotta take care of that. I'm gonna take off the fruit that's ready to come off. Those beautiful little habaneros. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Some of these are pretty little, which could be just from being inside. Could also be from the aphids, because the aphids and the gnats steal their food. Those little bitty ones will just leave on. Okay, so then we're gonna take our rag and this is what I do. Hilda, no. Thank you, baby. And then this is what I do. I just lightly come up the stalks And some of the gnats come right off. You might lose a couple leaves. It's okay. It's just fine. The undersides are really, really love to stay. And you're not hurting your plant. Giving her some love. You can kind of see some of the gnats that came off in the rag there. Not gnats, those are aphids. Okay, and then to prevent going forward, I've got neem oil. This is ready to use neem oil, so I can just spray it directly on the plant. You can also get neem oil concentrate, mix it with a little bit of dish soap, and spray it on the foliage. But Casey, you just cleaned your floor. Yeah, it's fine. We'll do it again. It's okay. We're taking care of the plants. We're doing our best. And that's it. We're just going to let her be. I'm not going to water them for a while. I'm going to let them dry out a little bit, see how the cleaning and the treatment goes, and we'll come back to them later. Okay, we're making progress. I got a table up here. It's helpful to have a table in your upstairs grow space. Make sure you get that 50s one that somebody's grandparents gave you when they cleaned out their garage, because it's dirt. What are you gonna get a nice card table messed up for? You're not. Anyway, so get your old crappy card table. And I suspend my lights from the ceiling. And that is the most helpful for me. And each one is on a pulley so that I can release the lights up and down as I go. That is particularly helpful in the spring when I'm raising seedlings. So I start the seeds and the lights are going to be down real low, but then the plants get bigger. You got to move the lights. You got to change how the light moves. So so this is how, I suspend them from the ceiling. And there's really three kind of lights that I use. First are fluorescent lights. So just your standard old fluorescent light bulb. This one suspends from the ceiling. Fluorescent. I also have one that is like the tabletop model. And in the spring when I'm doing a lot of seedlings, I need both lights going at the same time. Some people got tons of racks of fluorescent lights going at one time. I'm not that big. Anyway. Fluorescent lights are great for seedlings and starting seeds because it's a lower spectrum of light. It is not nearly as strong as the sun, so it's not going to burn out your plants. It's going to give them just enough to get them started, to get them healthy, move them on their way. Those are fluorescent lights. Now we got grow lights. Grow lights are what you need if you realistically want to get a plant to a larger size, if you want to make sure it can produce flowers, if you actually want it to be able to produce fruits and vegetables and what have you for you. Again, we got to mimic the sun. So when I first started growing indoors, I bought this one. This is from Vipar Spectra. Is it maybe 10 years old? Maybe not quite. Yeah, it might be 10 years old. This was their basic model at the time. It is a 300 watt light. It is full spectrum, or it says it is full spectrum, and it also suspends from the ceiling like this. For the price point that this was, I don't know that they sell this model anymore. I just checked out their site and I didn't exactly see it. For the price point that this was at, it was my perfect first grow light. It gave me enough to get me used to growing inside and sort of understanding the changes that plants would go through without being so expensive. I want to say it was probably like $200, $250 at the time. What I don't like about this light, and one of the reasons I don't use it as much anymore, is because it is full spectrum. It is really, really strong all the time. And I have burned out plants using this light. So I use this light when I got plants that are healthy and stable because I raise it up as far as I can to the sea. The plants are low down on the ground. The light is far enough away from the plants that the full strength isn't really going to damage them that much. But like I said, I have had problems with it burning plants before. So once I realized I wanted to keep growing stuff inside and I needed more than one little bitty light, I saved up. And I got this big daddy, also from Vipar Spectra. This is a 600 watt light. This covers more area so I can fit more plants underneath one light. And in addition to being full spectrum, it has separate lights for vegetative state and bloom state. What that means is the problem this light has with being just really intense and hot, this light can dial back. So when you put the little veg light on, you're getting more greens and blues in the light, a lot cooler, easier for young plants to use while they're just establishing the root system and their structure. Once you get to fruiting and blooming, you need more light, right? If you were outside in the sun, peak of summer, moving into fall is when when your plants are really cooking. So we got to mimic that inside too. So once you're ready to have your plants start fruiting, boop, you pop on that bloom switch as well, and now you got the big old full spectrum. If you're somebody who is just growing flowers just to flower, you can keep the bloom on and turn off the veg. But if you're somebody who's growing big plants that you want to bloom and produce, then you have both on at the same time. So there, in this one, I think this light is probably about 5 years old. So these are what I use, and I'll hang them up and I will show you how it looks when they are all on. Okay, my big one's up, my fluorescent is up. Quick point, if you want to grow inside and you want to have multiple lights like I do, but you don't have many outlets, get versions that you can daisy chain. All that means is this light has an outlet for the next lamp over, so one lamp can connect to this lamp, can connect to my outlet. Makes it real handy. There we go. Okay. Just in case you're curious. Okay, both are off. Just the veg lights. See how it's nice and cool, blues and greens. Bloom lights adds all that extra red. Red is the heat, red's the big sun. If you turn off the veg, you just get a whole lot of sun. Keep them both on and it's full spectrum. LED lights in general, they do take energy, not nearly as much as like halogen lamps used to. I don't know if anybody uses those anymore, but certainly lots of people did. So LED lights are going to save you on your energy costs, although, you know, it's having a big light on, so it's going to use something. And then finally, you are going to want to hook up your lights to a timer. Plants do not need all the sun all the time, all the days. Currently, the plants that I have up here are fully mature plants, and so I'm giving them 12 hours of light a day, and that's it, and they're doing just fine. Once I move to seedlings like sunlight, like up to 16 hours if they can get it. So you change your timer depending on what kind of plants you have growing. Okay, it's the next day. The surprise aphids took me on a little bit longer. So the next day, we got rid of the fungal gnats, which I'm happy to say there's no new larvae that I saw today. We got a bunch of little dead gnats in our apple cider jar. I also don't have any new aphids. Plants are looking healthy, they're looking clean, and we'll just see how they go. We have talked about my light setup. Currently, I am oriented under my fluorescent light because this is where I start seeds. This is where I keep the seed starting equipment. So, just wanted to show you a couple things I have in upstairs garden for seed starting. Of course, have a little warming mat that we can lay out. I have a number of containers. I did go ahead and wash all of these up and out. So I've got a nice clean supply of containers. For seed starting, we use kind of the long trays, right? And this will sit on top of the warming mat. And then we sometimes use a clear lid to help keep moisture and warmth inside. So when I'm ready to start seed starting, I've got everything up here that I need. Everything's clean. Bathroom is right behind me, so I have access to fresh water up here. And once I have planted and filled my seed pods, I'm just gonna lower this light right on down. And as they grow, the light comes back up again. And as they really grow, they'll get repotted into something bigger and they will be moved under the big light. You might be wondering why I would be starting seeds now when it's winter in Zone 5B. And my answer to that is, because I can, and because I want to practice a little bit. So, like, here's what happens sometimes, I think, in the spring as people really start growing. We only have so much time, right, to get our gardens started and our seeds started and ready for planting. We only have so much limited time that once we get to seed starting, we don't really have a lot of time for experimentation. So if a certain packet of seeds doesn't germinate or doesn't perform, we're more likely, I think, to just push on through with all the other things that we have growing. So why not start some seeds and actually practice seed starting in the winter? I say, let's do it. So in particular, and I'll do a separate video on this, but in particular, things that I want to get much better at, petunias. I love petunias. I love all the colors. I love petunias. I 100% suck at getting them to start from seed. And I've never taken the time to figure out why. So we're going to do that this summer. A dear friend of mine sent me some adorable basil types that I want to grow. And of course, basil you can grow all year round, and I love basil. So I'm going to give a go with some lemon basil and some sweet Thai basil and some Tulsi and some holly basil. I also suck at growing Brussels sprouts. Suck at it. I've never grown a successful Brussels sprout. So I'm going to practice up here in upstairs garden, and I'm going to see what I'm doing wrong, see if I can't correct it, so that by the time I get to spring, maybe I'll have a little bit more success when I actually want to produce. So this is it. This is upstairs garden. I love it. I hope you love it. If you have room or a little like space in your house to try to grow a couple of things, man, I sure do encourage you to do it. There's a lot you can grow with just a fluorescent light. It's so fun to just keep herbs growing all year long. Kind of makes you feel like summer is a little less far away, especially on our big cold days. So I love it. I encourage you to explore and experiment in your own spaces if you can. If not, just come along with me, and I'm sure I'll be up here a lot this winter, and I'll show you how everything's going. I love you guys so much. Thanks again for coming along for the ride, and I'm going to see you on the next one, okay? Bye.